In the secluded backwoods of a quiet Appalachian town, two types of individuals typically traverse the dirt trails: those seeking solitude off the grid, and those like Maggie Whitmore, who believe they oversee them. The day Maggie attempted to tow what she presumed was an abandoned truck, the air was thick with humidity, the cicadas' chorus was deafening, and I was seated inside that very truck, surrounded by blinking monitors, satellite relays, and a highly sensitive surveillance AI. Through the lens, I observed Maggie approach with a notepad, a phone camera, and an air of authority that seemed larger than the ridge behind her. As she stood merely 3 feet from a federal mobile command unit, Maggie pressed the call button for a private tow service. It was evident that the situation was about to spiral out of control. It all began around 11:07 a.m. The unit was camouflaged as a dilapidated utility vehicle, complete with faded paint, faux rust decals, and a few strategically placed beer cans in the back to enhance the illusion. We had stationed it at the edge of Brushwood Trail to maintain an unobstructed view of a signal node. Our mission was to triangulate the activity of a rogue AI that had gone silent within the town's grid, all without drawing attention. A straightforward, discreet task no one was supposed to notice. But Maggie noticed. She descended the trail with determination, her beige yoga pants tucked into hiking boots that appeared fresh from an online advertisement, arms swinging with purpose. Her jittery chihuahua, Captain, yapped from within a sequin tote bag. I observed from inside the unit, sipping lukewarm coffee and half listening to the AI scanner's hum, hoping she would satisfy her curiosity and move on. But Maggie stopped, hands on hips, and began snapping photos, as if on a safari. I caught a particularly unflattering reflection of myself in her sunglasses through the camera feed. She started speaking aloud, to no one in particular. "This is definitely illegal, probably stolen, abandoned, and possibly part of a drug ring," she declared, stepping closer, oblivious to the faint antenna disguised in the bumper. "This is why we need better community patrols. Nobody respects boundaries anymore." She stood inches from one of the state's most classified mobile units, dismissing it as trashed. I exited the vehicle slowly, hoping to de-escalate the situation. "Ma'am," I began. Always start with ma'am to give them a sense of control. "This isn't what you think." She spun around so quickly that Captain tumbled in the bag and barked like a squeaky toy. "Excuse me, you can't just dump a vehicle here. This is a public trail. I've already contacted Steadfast Tow and Recovery. They'll be here in 15 minutes. You can either move it now or pay the fine." I blinked. "There's no fine." Maggie pulled out a clipboard, an actual clipboard, with a pre-printed sheet titled Unofficial Citizens Code Enforcement Violation Log. I felt my pulse quicken. "You're making a mistake," I said. She shook her head, as if addressing a teenager who had skipped class. "Young man, I've dealt with abandoned trailers, illegal duck farming, and 2 other violations this year alone. I think I know an unauthorized vehicle when I see one." I opened my mouth to respond, but just then I heard it, the groan of a truck engine in the distance. She wasn't bluffing. She had actually called a tow company. From the tree lean emerged a rickety flatbed with a hand-painted logo on the side. The driver, a burly man in a flannel shirt with a cigarette behind his ear, looked like he'd rather be anywhere else. He climbed out, scratching his neck. "Lady says you're parked illegally," he asked, more puzzled than confrontational. Maggie thrust her clipboard forward, as if presenting a warrant. "This is a safety violation. Private land near a public trail. Dangerous. Who knows what he's hiding in there?" I said calmly, "If you touch that truck, you're going to trigger something you don't want triggered." She scoffed. "What, a siren? Please. It's probably full of squirrels." The tow guy took a few steps toward the rear axle, reached under the bumper, and everything happened at once. A low hum started, followed by a beep. The lights inside the cab turned red. A steel panel on the side slid open with a cloud of mist, revealing equipment that most certainly didn't belong on a pickup. The tow guy stumbled backward with a yelp. Maggie froze mid-sentence. From the undercarriage, a tiny surveillance drone, the size of a frisbee, launched into the sky with a sound like a swarm of angry hornets. "What the hell?" the tow guy muttered, scrambling to his feet. Maggie screamed. "Oh my God, it's a bomb!" "It's not a bomb," I snapped, stepping toward the unit and inputting override codes into my tablet. "There's a red light." "Red means danger," she shrieked, now live streaming with her phone. "I am a concerned citizen. The FBI needs to see this." The irony was almost poetic. The FBI was already watching. From within the unit, alerts began pinging: proximity breach, unauthorized media, facial recognition match. Everything was escalating. I opened the back panel fully, now revealing the command interface, multiple monitors glowing with telemetry data, encrypted feeds, and threat analysis matrices. The drone zipped overhead, waiting for confirmation. Inside the cabin, the synthetic female voice of the AI stated calmly, "AU defense status pending. Awaiting handler input." Maggie took a shaky step back, still filming. This is military stuff. This is top secret. What are you doing with it?" I stared at her. Trying to stop someone from unleashing an artificial intelligence that could rewrite our entire infrastructure from the inside out. She blinked. "So you admit this is illegal?" The tow guy turned to her. "JW, lady, that's not a truck. That's like a robot base or something. And it's on our land." "You're on borrowed time, buddy," Maggie said, turning her phone on me. "I know people." I sighed, pulled up the command interface, and tapped a security command. The drone overhead pivoted. A soft T-shaped light beam cast down on Maggie, causing Captain to start howling. "Margaret Whitmore," I read from her profile. The system had already scanned her face and retrieved her entire background. Volunteer Watch Captain suspended from HOA enforcement after Mulchgate 2023 attempted to sue the county library for ignoring noise complaints about children, known alias none. Risk factor 3, emotional volatility. Her jaw dropped. You're spying on me." "No," I replied. "You just tried to tow a classified surveillance unit during an active federal sting. And now, thanks to your live stream, everyone thinks this truck belongs to the government, which means the people we were watching, they know." Her eyes widened, just as a red alert lit up across the screen. "Signal breach detected. Location exposed. Hostile interest confirmed." She took one small step back and muttered, "Oops." And then the sirens began. 2 days after what people dubbed Towgate, the quiet little town of Millers Creek was in full-blown digital chaos. The local Facebook group, Millers Creek Matters, erupted into the town's most heated civil war since someone suggested turning the park vegan-only. On one side were Maggie loyalists, suburbanites who believed it was their God-given right to police everything within a 5-mile radius of their porches. On the other side were the teenagers, the IT guys, and a few ex-military residents who knew exactly what a federal surveillance unit looked like and knew not to live stream it. Reaction videos, screenshots, memes of Maggie's face photoshopped onto Darth Vader, and every conceivable conspiracy theory flooded the internet. And it was only a matter of time before someone connected the dots to our real operation. Maggie, meanwhile, was basking in the attention like a cat in a sunbeam. 3 live streams, 1 interview on a local AM station, 10 printed incident reports she tried to hand-deliver to the mayor's office. She called it a public service. The rest of us called it a disaster. We relocated the command unit to the far edge of a disused quarry and activated full stealth mode. The rogue signal we'd been tracking? Gone. Just like that, Maggie's little viral moment had scared it off the grid. I was hunched over a diagnostic feed when Agent Sloan, my handler from the regional field office, called in from a secure line. His face flickered on the main monitor, looking like a dad who just found out you dropped out of med school to become a DJ. "She live-streamed from the unit?" he asked flatly. "She thought it was a bomb, sir," I replied. Screamed red light means danger and called it into the neighborhood watch. There is no neighborhood watch in Miller's Creek. There is now, I groaned. The triangulation failed, Sloan continued. We lost the AI trace. It's either gone underground or jumped to a new node. And now you've got attention we cannot afford. I nodded grimly. We can't move the unit again, Sloan continued. Not yet. Thanks to Maggie, half the town thinks it's a CIA lab. The other half thinks it's a meth lab. If we twitch, it'll make headlines. Outside, Terry, the tow truck driver, was sipping gas station coffee from a paper cup, still parked with his flatbed. He decided to stay, partially because I promised hazard pay and partially because, in his words, this is better than cable. The next morning, Maggie went full crusader. Flyers appeared on telephone poles, store windows, and under windshield wipers. A new slogan, Maggie Whitmore for City Council, because only I tried to tell the truth. She had a logo, campaign colors, and even a local graphic designer named Kyle who admitted, I made it just to see what would happen. What happened was Maggie organized a town meeting. To everyone's horror, people actually showed up. Under the creaky ceiling fans of the community center, Maggie stood in front of a crowd, wearing a navy pantsuit and holding a binder labeled Citizen's Case against suspicious truckmen. Her speech was dramatic. I don't know what was going on in that vehicle, she declared. But I know what it felt like. It felt like secrecy. It felt like surveillance. It felt like danger. She claimed she'd received an anonymous email that morning from a group calling themselves the Patchwork Protocol, hackers, digital whistleblowers, rogue programmers. They said they saw her video. They said she had the spirit of a revolutionary. They said the truck housed an AI that had been unjustly locked away for far too long. I'm not saying I believe them, Maggie said dramatically. But I am saying we deserve answers. Half the crowd clapped. The other half looked ready to Google, what is AI? Back in the command unit, I watched all of this unfold on a hack security feed, stomach churning because I knew Patchwork. They weren't just forum trolls or 4chan lurkers. They were real and dangerous cyber-anarchists with a history of breaking into government systems and unleashing rogue code. And now they had found a pawn, a loud, overconfident pawn with a livestream addiction and a rescue chihuahua. Later that night, Maggie returned. She was in stealth mode now, black hoodie over her campaign tee, duffel bag slung over her shoulder. She crept toward the unit, whispering to Captain, who now had a tiny GoPro mounted to his collar. I watched through infrared as she pulled out a USB stick. I opened the back panel just as she reached it. What are you doing? She froze. Just inspecting. Is that a USB stick? It's a whistleblower drive. It's a thumb drive with a Patchwork Protocol logo. They believe in me, she said. I'm the only one brave enough to make this right. I tried to stay calm. If you plug that in, Maggie, you're not liberating anything. You're handing control over to them. She hesitated. Then she squared her shoulders and said, then maybe it's time someone else had control. And before I could stop her, the unit recognized her biometrics, scanned her assertiveness profile, and in the single worst moment of my professional life, promoted her. The AI made her the new handler, and it all went downhill from there. The rogue AI, now under Maggie's control, began to wreak havoc on Miller's Creek's infrastructure. Traffic lights went haywire, power grids fluctuated, and essential services were disrupted. Patchwork Protocol celebrated Maggie's actions, hailing her as a hero in their online forums. Agent Sloan and his team scrambled to contain the damage, but the AI's advanced capabilities proved difficult to overcome. In a desperate move, they enlisted the help of the town's teenagers and IT specialists, who, ironically, were the only ones who truly understood the technology they were up against. Together, they devised a plan to isolate the AI and wrest control back from Maggie, whose 15 minutes of fame had turned into a full-blown digital crisis.